Across the globe, from Korea to California, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is changing where and how soldiers and families live. It's the largest military construction budget since World War II, and it's a major upgrade in quality of life. In fact, it's a $56,000 investment per soldier. An investment that benefits the entire Army family, with facilities designed for a volunteer mobile force.
We're committed for both the soldiers and their families to give absolutely the best facilities we can, because to fight and do what we're asking them to sacrifice, they deserve the best. So that's kind of the bottom line.
A bottom line that means major upgrades. The $39 billion budget impacts soldiers and families directly. Barracks with 1+1 living, 2 sharing a kitchen and a bathroom. Medical facilities including state-of-the-art care for warriors in transition.
I get used to these turns.
Child development centers, dining facilities, gyms, and youth centers.
This is a great opportunity for us to provide the quality of life that is commensurate with the quality of service of our soldiers and their families.
Families that benefit from core construction transformation. This global building boom is the largest since 1942. It's also the greenest.
Building green, but we're buying green and we're going green. And we're doing it in a very big way. And we're doing it in a way that makes sense.
Dollars and cents. The Corps of Engineers is changing how buildings go up and down.
Starting this year, every building that the Army builds is going to be a green building.
Certified under LEED, which saves water and energy, maximizes the use of recycled materials, and it's even good for people, reducing colds, asthma, and flu. Green design optimizes natural resources and the latest technology from the private sector.
We're taking advantage of that innovation. No question in my mind, we're getting a better product.
A product that's environmentally and economically friendly. Building green is 2.5% more expensive, but there's significant savings in the long run.
You know, money is important. This is the taxpayers' dollars. We have to be good stewards of that.
The Corps invested $8.4 billion of construction in Iraq. Construction that directly benefits the lives of Iraqis and warfighters. Kevin Casey's been there since October and has seen this progress firsthand. Kevin, what's your impression?
Well, Mary, imagine your family in a home with little or no running water, only a few hours of electricity every day, and just outside your door, a pool of raw sewage. And sadly, that's the reality for many people throughout Iraq today. And we come in and we build water treatment plants and sewage treatment plants and add more power to the grid. And we're introducing a quality of life that some Iraqis haven't seen since before the Iran-Iraq War nearly 30 years ago, and that other Iraqis have never even known.
This $160 million upgrade to the Qudus power plant will increase the electricity flowing out of the plant by 40%. That's enough to serve 180,000 more homes. This $50 million water treatment plant will bring water to 2 million people in Sadr City. Water Saddam Hussein cut off as political punishment. In Fallujah, raw sewage runs in the streets, and it's dumped into the Euphrates River, fouling the drinking water downstream. This $85 million wastewater treatment plant will be the city's first.
Most of our projects support the Iraqi people and reconstruction of Iraq, but we also have the privilege of supporting coalition forces with projects. And we're equally proud of our opportunity to support the brave men and women who are helping to make Iraq free.
The Marines who fix M1A1 Abrams tanks in Fallujah were lying on their backs in the dirt and mud. So the Corps of Engineers built them a tank repair facility.
Well, to fix the tank without something like this, it can be pretty stressful. Depends on the severity of the problem of the tank. Sometimes we do have to work all night, and we're not rolling around in the dirt underneath the tank. So we have a solid concrete floor to work on. We have lighting at nighttime. It makes it a lot easier.
Al-Assad Air Base asked the Corps of Engineers for a gut renovation of this air traffic control tower. Now these sailors enjoy new plumbing, electricity, air conditioning, and an elevator.
TH-53 pad, request clearance on Charlie across the parallels, exiting the east fingers.
Tiger 211, hold short of Alpha on Charlie for me.
Gulf Region Division has 44 more military support projects like these lined up for 2008. This year's MILCON represents only 1% of the more than 4,400 GRD construction projects in Iraq to date. But the Corps of Engineers will build anything to support the warfighter, because without these men and women, rebuilding Iraq would be impossible. For the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, I'm Kevin Casey.
Rebuilding countries battered by years of war takes more than military might. Gail McCabe's on site with the people making a difference in a construction effort spanning 4 continents. Gail?
Mary, you're absolutely right. The mission of the Corps is indeed global. When you get to austere places like Afghanistan, you often discover that mission accomplishment is the result of individual commitment.
Lieutenant Colonel John Larson says Afghanistan will be better off because of the construction he's involved in.
You got to be here to see it.
Larson works as an area engineer with the Afghan Engineer District. AED is tasked with management and oversight of more than $2 billion of new construction in Afghanistan.
Well, this is a success right here.
A member of the Wisconsin Army National Guard, 56-year-old Larson is a long-standing civil engineer with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Everybody here has a can-do, gotta-get-done attitude.
This is his 3rd deployment in as many years, twice to Iraq. According to Larson, the engineering expertise he brings as a soldier and as a civilian are key to the success of the projects.
This is really an engineering paradise.
The warehouses will hold food and medical supplies for use by the Afghan National Army, storage that will in turn increase the military standing with the local population.
The infrastructure in the buildings that we're building is going to connect the Afghan Army to the people.
Everyone in AED, he says, understands the importance in the making of Afghanistan.
Construction actually stabilizes a country more than a politician will.
Gail McCabe, Kabul.
BRAC and the restationing of the Army has many bases in Europe closing. Contrary to that is a record building boom, totaling $468 million last year. Schools, hospitals, training grounds, and orphanages are going up from Africa to Europe. Justin Ward is in Germany and has the impact of these projects. Justin, I hear this is the largest restructuring in quite a while.
That's right, Mary, 60 years to be exact. You know, the work that's going on in Israel, the Republic of Georgia, and Turkey is certainly playing a vital role in meeting today's threats. But it's really the work that's going on here in Germany that has the most direct impact on the Army family. Just last year, the Corps of Engineers spent $150 million constructing military family housing units in Stuttgart, Wiesbaden, and Ramstein. And that's not even mentioning the work that's going on here in Grafenwehr. And all this work means, for people coming to Europe, there's no better time than now.
Europe. For more than 60 years, U.S. service members and their families have been rotating through installations here, using many of the same facilities that, although modern when built, have outlasted their intended lifespan. Restationing developments have allowed for new life to be breathed into these facilities, including at least 3 of the largest U.S. military communities in Germany: Ramstein, Stuttgart, and Grafenwehr. It's the dawn of a new era for these communities, which have continually undergone improvements to increase the quality of life for the warfighters and their families. And it's the perfect time to be stationed here.
This is probably the nicest apartment we have ever moved into. I think the best description would be an upscale Manhattan apartment.
We start in Ramstein, where the focus is on quality of life.
Here in Germany, we're really a staging area for what's going on downrange, and we see a lot of deployments, and people here also don't have the extended family and community that they're used to in the States. So quality of life for the airmen and soldiers in this area is a top priority. The quality of the housing is top-notch. You've got high-grade finishes, you know, custom cabinetry, appliances, you know, the nicest things that we could really buy. Different size fridges, obviously, for different size families, as well as underfloor heating, automatic garage door openers, the works.
Next up is Stuttgart, where military family housing is the watchword.
This is the best military housing now in Germany. Not only Germany, in Europe.
About $85 million in quality-of-life renovations has been put into Stuttgart recently, making it a much-desired location.
It's a good time to come to Stuttgart with all the new houses we're turning over. What we're doing is we're upgrading the size of the dwelling units as well as all the amenities. When you're living on base and the on-base housing, it's like you're living in America.
Finally, there's Grafenwehr, where almost $100 million is put into this garrison every year. Just last year, project managers here completed a commissary, PX, barracks, dining facility, shopette, and the Army's most modern health and dental clinic in Europe.
The soldiers that are living in the western part of Germany used to have to come here on 3, 4, 5-week rotations, and that took a lot of personal time as well as time away from their family. That won't be occurring here anymore. The soldiers will be located here. The training area is just to the south of us here. The families will be located here because we've got all the quality of life and infrastructure in place for that. And the facilities where they would work on a day-to-day basis are also to be constructed in the next 2 years. So bases are closing, but the consolidation that has occurred here is extremely efficient and very positive for the soldier.
Justin Ward, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Grafenwehr, Germany.
When construction is complete in 2011, Grafenwehr, Germany will be the Army's premier installation outside the United States. Inside the U.S., this military construction budget is also being invested in Army readiness, including state-of-the-art training grounds. Jay Field reports from California.
When complete, this will be the largest military operations in urban terrain, or MOUT site in the Army. Built on the world's largest training center, the facility is designed to simulate urban conditions to soldiers training for deployment to Iraq or Afghanistan. Troops already use other facilities built at the NTC. With professional actors, makeup artists, and pyrotechnics, soldiers get a simulated dose of actual conditions.
Had we had this training to this effect, I think it may have saved some lives, and I think it would have definitely prepared some of the younger Marines to actually feel the effects of possibly being in combat and also seeing some of the horrific things that we did see over there.
The first urban training facilities here were made from shipping containers and limited to 2 stories tall. Engineers are building the new facility with precast concrete panels, which cuts construction time and more than doubles the size.
There are lots of interior rooms, there are underground vaults, there are ladders that go between floors. All of that adds to the complexity of the buildings and makes it more difficult when soldiers have to come in and clear rooms and look for insurgents.
The $12 million MOUT site will contain nearly 500 structures when finished, large enough to accommodate brigade-sized units from among the more than 5,000 soldiers who train here each year. Phase 1 is now complete. With role players and added texture, this facility will assault soldiers with all the sensations they'll likely encounter when deployed. Jay Field, Fort Irwin, California.
Corps construction is most visible in Korea, where Camp Humphreys is growing by 500%. This will improve military living for soldiers and also make room for more families, actually boosting that number 1,000%.
Behind me there,
the current Chief of Engineers and Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Lieutenant General Robert Van Antwerp, visited U.S. Army Garrison Humphreys to check up on the expansion of the post.
I would say it's one of the larger projects that we have going anywhere. This year in military programs, we'll have about $23 billion. That is across the world in what we call military programs. And I would say just on a comparison, at Fort Bliss, we're doing $3 billion worth of work. At Fort Drum, about $2 billion. And so in Korea, about $8.2 billion. So that shows you the scale and the magnitude in comparison with some of the other major projects that we have.
It's not just about adding buildings, but improving the quality of life as the post becomes a more family-friendly assignment.
Our ultimate hope would be that people would want to come here, that this will be a place that will be a station of choice.
A goal that is able to be realized sooner by accelerating the foundation.
There's a drainage system which will allow the water, as you compress the rice paddy layer, that water will come up and it's going to be trapped and then siphoned off of the site. But that's a very important part, because if not, you're going to be dealing with settling for the next 6 to 8 to 10 years, and we don't want to deal with that. We want to deal with it one time and only do it for a short time.
General Van Antwerp says it's not just the Army Corps of Engineers, but the local contractors that's making USAG Humphreys ultimately one of the largest military installations in the world. Reporting from USAG Humphreys, I'm Airman Jamie Sikora.
This global construction effort is the broadest the Army's seen, supporting BRAC, restationing of the Army, and grow the force. It's an undertaking close to the heart of the Corps' leadership, giving soldiers and families quality facilities commensurate with the service and sacrifice they provide to the nation day in, day out. This has been a Corps of Engineers Military Construction Special. More Corps news is at usace.army.mil.